I'm jacked up.
Welcome, welcome everybody to the Daily Fantasy NFL Show, sponsored by Fantasy Elite, the app that you can get in the App Store. Also, go to their new website, FantasyElite.com. Draft against other players, no overlap, just right. FantasyElite.com. On today's show, we have Davis Maddock, we have late round QB, and we have some guy from Buffalo.
What up?
Oh yeah, it's it's Michael Leone, who is like in expert troll mode. We can't see your whiteboard back there. I tried to, but why don't you just tell us what it says?
Okay, so my whiteboard, for those of you who can't read it, says wide receivers who scored week 7. Sammy Watkins times 2, Wes Welker, Manny Sanders, Odell Beckham, GOAT times 2, Randall Cobb, and Kendall Wright.
Do people know that Sammy Watkins isn't small, that he's just not big? Like, I'm wondering if people missed out on that by not ever actually clicking on one of my articles. I feel like that happened.
Dude, you totally copped out, though, earlier today when I texted you to see if you changed your mind on Sammy Watkins at all.
I haven't.
You gave me such a... That's what I asked. You gave me this vanilla response that had nothing to do.
I will say this about Davis and Sammy Watkins is that it wasn't so much that he thought Sammy Watkins was a terrible football player. It was mostly that he just saw him as vastly overrated because he was a top 5 pick.
Well, it's like people
Oh,
thought...
yeah, they gave up way too much for him.
Right.
But
People thought he was going to be Julio Jones, and he'll never be Julio Jones.
Right.
I'm still not changing my mind on that.
I agree with you there.
I didn't say it would be Julio Jones, but you
But
did
that's
throw
what
some
Twitter
Torrey
said.
Smith comparisons out there.
Matt Miller, who is like the basically sort of the draft writer, like he's the draft writer with the most Twitter follows, was on record in a video posted on Bleacher Report as saying that Sammy Watkins was in the same category of player as Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy. That's
I
insane.
agree. But I think he's better than Torrey Smith. And didn't
Yes.
you say that?
It was always like the company line for me was that he was glorified Torrey Smith.
But didn't he even say that he was Torrey Smith?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you still think he's Torrey Smith? Is what I asked you earlier. And
He'll
you
have
gave me some cop-out answer.
games. So this is the thing about Torrey Smith is Torrey Smith, despite being a wide receiver 2 every year of his career, Torrey Smith will never, with the current coaching staff, never function as like the primary component of the offense that he's in.
I just wanted a yes or no.
Well, you'll never get one from me on this issue because this is an issue with plenty of shades of gray.
All right, let's start talking DFS then.
Let's do it. The first thing I want to do is I want us to just really attack JJ on his stance on Rob Gronkowski this week.
This isn't even a real stance.
It's a real
You're
stance.
making something up right now.
Oh, I love
JJ
when Davis makes up arguments for other people.
This isn't even a real thing.
JJ is not going to play Gronkowski in cash. He's going to play Jordan Reed on DraftKings.
I'm in the middle on this. I think at DraftKings it's pretty easy to fit Gronk in, but I do have to say that I was emphasizing the number 1 wide receivers like Jordy Nelson and Des Bryant ahead of Gronk, which made it a little bit more difficult. But I forced myself in my cash game lineups I've set for Sunday. It sits about like 40% Gronk exposure and about, I think, and then maybe like 50% Jordan Reed, and then I sprinkled some Ertz on DraftKings.
Yeah, it's like the right ratio.
My feeling towards Gronk isn't that I'm just not going to use him, Davis. It's that I see a guy like Jordan Reed as a super value play this week. I think he has a brilliant matchup. He's priced really well. There's no I can see Jordan Reed having just as good of a game as Rob Gronkowski this week.
Well, of course you can.
I mean, I don't know.
It.
Yeah, I don't know if I see that, but I think Reed's probably the best. Like, if you're talking like expected points per dollar spent, Reed's probably the best guy.
Yeah.
And on a week when Jordy Nelson, I don't know, maybe I love Jordy Nelson too much, but
you don't. It's impossible to love him too much.
I usually don't go crazy about spending on receivers in cash games, but this week I'm forcing a lot of Jordy Nelson into my lineup.
It's Jordy and Dez that's really making that decision for me. If I felt better about more, like if we're talking DK, if I felt better about more of those like 4,000 to 5,000 range wide receivers, I would be playing more Gronk.
I feel pretty good about a lot of those guys.
I feel like we're all like on a similar page, just coming from different starting points.
Yeah,
so it sounds
I wonder why we're coming from different starting points, Davis.
Yeah,
maybe because Davis started the segment with "Let's gang up on JJ."
Let's make up an argument and talk about it.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I just feel like there's it's just completely a missed opportunity to not use Gronkowski while he's priced this way. Like, okay, so you're just looking at the tight end list, and you're like, oh, he's so expensive. He's the most expensive tight end.
Right.
But $5,900 for Gronkowski, if Graham was priced normally, and if Julius was in the Sunday slate like he normally would be, you'd be going, oh my God, Gronk is such a value compared to those two.
No, I mean, I wrote up Gronk for that same reason. I mean, his snap percentages have risen like every single week, and he's just amazing. He's the best tight end in the league.
He played 55 of 60 snaps last week. Like, the concern about him not being an option is gone.
Yeah, it's more, I think what JJ's saying, and I kind of see, is it's more just emphasizing other options on a week when you have one really good value play at tight end as an alternative. Like, if Jordan Reed didn't exist, I would force Gronk a lot more.
I completely agree.
What do you think is, like, I know Reed is safe and as a nice market share when he plays, but, like, what is the realistic best case scenario for the Washington offense led by Colt McCoy this week against a Dallas team that just limits the shit out of possessions for the other team?
I mean,
best case scenario.
But I don't think it's as much about the because the Washington offense is going to be poor. But so is every other offense that's mostly played against Dallas. It's the fact that I'm going back to it again. The matchup against Dallas and tight ends against Dallas is what are you doing? Is amazing. And so
I don't believe that it's amazing.
It is amazing. Go look at how tight ends are performing against.
I mean,
them.
if he pulls a Larry Donald 7 for 90, that's fine for 4K.
Right, exactly.
That's 4x. I mean,
not only that, but like Larry Donald had not been doing anything from a fantasy perspective. But there's a matchup to exploit against Dallas. Like it's a very real thing.
I wrote Jordan Reed. I think he's a good play, but you can't say he's in the same sphere as Gronkowski.
No, he's not in the same sphere. He's $2,000 cheaper, and that $2,000 gets you Jordy and Dez in a cash game.
Exactly.
And Le'Veon Bell.
That's a difference for me. Is I wouldn't go crazy paying up for Dez this week because Dez is my favorite player. I have his jerseys. He's the lock screen on my phone. Like I love that guy. But Dallas, if things go perfect for Dallas, they only want him to score once a game. Like,
but I mean, I think. I've talked about this before. I think the game flow thing gets overrated in the passing game. They have a team total of 30, and Dez is the best red zone wide receiver in the league, and Washington's like dead last in Pro Football Focus pass coverage. Like,
Dez is a great play.
900, I think like you're way overthinking that.
Washington's given up 7 top 20 PPR wide receiver performances this year. Like that's crazy. They're terrible.
Dez is going to be a top 12 wide receiver this week.
Right.
I'm not doubting that.
The other thing too, like I understand game script and all of that, but like at the same time, like Leone's saying, like they have a high total at the highest of the week, right?
Yeah, it's the highest.
Like he might just get all of his points in the first half, and you're fine with that.
Okay, let me ask you guys a hypothetical then: Dez Bryant and Jordan Reed, or Rob Gronkowski and Michael Floyd. Like I'm going with the second one.
Dez Bryant and Jordan Reed.
I mean, I think Gronk and Floyd are probably better in GPPs.
Is that? I don't have the salary.
Because I think Floyd has pretty high like he could really blow up this week against that defense. But at the same time, like he still doesn't have a crazy great floor.
No, he's not got a not good floor at all. He's got like 3 catches for 47 yards and no touchdowns type floor.
Exactly, but I could see him having a blow-up game, especially with like Fitz playing the slot. Like we all know that against Philly, your outside receivers could really do work, and we saw that. The other thing too is with Philly, they beat Eli and that Giants offense that runs more West Coast, and I think you see a vertical passing attack with Bruce Arians in Arizona that can really get to Philadelphia, which is why I'm pretty high on that Palmer and Floyd stack.
Yeah, no matter which side Palmer or Floyd lines up on, he's either against Bradley Fletcher, who's been terrible, and Kerry Williams, who's been even worse. While their best corner, Boykin, plays on the inside, which is where Fitzgerald has been playing a lot. If you go something I like to look at every week is Mike Clay's column on Pro Football Focus that just does the cornerback wide receiver matchup based on like tendencies of whether they line up on the left or the right side. And the one who has the bad matchup for Philadelphia by that analysis is Fitzgerald.
Yeah, I think for me, I just get a little concerned with. I was looking at the targets for like the past few weeks, and it just seems so random for Arizona. You've got Carlson with targets. You've got Andre Ellington getting more targets than the receivers. John Brown with more targets. It's
the leftover Steelers and Bruce Arians.
I could see a huge game from Floyd, but I think his floor is lower than Jordan Reed's, and I like Dez better than Gronk.
Oh, Jordan Reed's floor is 1 catch for 10 yards.
Is it?
Is it?
I mean, his market share 2 weeks back, 29% and 21%.
Dude, that offense rolls through the tight end. We saw that even when Niles Paul was playing.
Listen, this is again.
Listen, guys.
I wrote up Jordan Reed, so I'm not attacking him. But you guys, I think, are maybe slightly higher on him than I am because 1, he only plays 2/3 of the snaps for them, and 2, 1/3 of the time when he's on the field, he blocks. So really, you're looking at about 40% of Washington's offensive plays, he's running a route. So you're basically expecting him to be targeted 30% of the time when he's on the field, which could happen.
These numbers aren't adding up. He has a 25% market share the last 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, because he gets targeted an insane amount when he's on the field.
Your math that you just gave did not come out to 25%, even remotely close.
You're also again not even looking into the actual matchup of this game for Jordan Reed, which is insanely good. I can't stress that enough.
But I think this also all kind of circles back to the fact that the DraftKings pricing is ridiculous that we're even having these arguments.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And plus, when has JJ ever been wrong about a tight end?
Yeah, JJ loves tight ends. He's the man.
JJ is at 5 condom tight end. That's his new Twitter handle.
Whatever, man.
No, like I said, I wrote up Reed. He's locked in as my tight end on FanDuel. I think he's clearly the best play on FanDuel for 5,200.
Yeah, FanDuel's pricing is a little tougher this week, which is
last week
way tougher
too.
than DraftKings.
Yeah.
I think anything compared to DraftKings, we're gonna see it's pretty tough. You actually have to have choices. You can't play everybody you want, pretty much.
Yeah, it is interesting though. I'm having a problem too, getting away from just the Gronk versus Reed discussion. Just in general, I seem to be going one cheap wide receiver everywhere. I don't know if that's the way to go.
Well, Julian Edelman is 4,600 on DraftKings, which is a full PPR site, so that seems a little insane.
Oh, I thought you were going to make fun of me for liking him. His DraftKings average is 3 times, which is pretty much what you want to cash 50-50s.
I know
Ackland's 5,500. I think that's a great matchup.
It's an insane matchup.
The Arizona pass rush kind of sucked. I mean, I think it's dead last according to Pro Football Focus, and Macklin's average depth of target is near the best in the league for wide receivers, or near the highest. So that kind of just naturally matches up well. A team that can't pass rush against a guy who's going to get a lot of vertical targets.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's really funny. I think his own percentage will be driven down by the fact that he's playing against Patrick Peterson, who is the 85th ranked corner by Pro Football Focus, and he's given up 4 touchdowns in coverage and allows a 60% catch percentage.
I was actually pretty surprised that game didn't have a higher over-under.
Yeah. It's interesting, though. If you look at Football Outsiders and the, adjusted for schedule, they don't have Arizona as that bad of a pass defense. So I was a little torn with, figuring out how to write up Foles. I had him as a really nice play on DraftKings just because it's so cheap, 6,300. But on FanDuel there, I had him more as a tournament play than a cash game play. I struggled with juggling the volume and how bad the raw totals for Arizona have been with, kind of the defensive adjusted stats.
Right. Yeah. Ours are kind of in line with Football Outsiders as well. And the thing with a lot of that, the same thing with our metrics is that they factor in turnovers a lot as well. So you have to keep in mind with a lot of that stuff. Like Philly, for instance, they rank really favorably with our net expected points metrics because they create those turnovers and they score those points. You see huge swings in points from drive to drive because of that. But we all know that like quarterbacks against Philly, for instance, are going to run a lot of plays, and they're going to be able to do basically what they want from a fantasy perspective against them. But yeah, I mean, like I think that game is really interesting because there's a lot of like boom or bust fantasy potential in general.
Yeah, I think it might not be as safe as people think, or maybe I'm just talking myself into that because I'm scared. I was telling Davis before the show that I don't think I was nearly as high on the Arizona guys that I should have been. I just feel like I don't know who's going to score. I mean, someone's going to get production. I just don't know who. I don't know how healthy Ellington is.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm fine with like I like Palmer this week. Just his price point's pretty good, and he's throwing 250 and 2 touchdowns every week. And the Philly defense has literally only stopped Eli Manning at quarterback this year. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I think a lot of that has to do with their style of offense versus what they've been attacked by, and that's the vertical passing game. We saw that with like Chad Henne and Allen Hurns in week 1 and so on. That's why I think Palmer is probably the best cheaper play this week at quarterback.
Yeah, if you just use the Philadelphia averages of allowing 38 attempts per game, and then you look at what Palmer does on a per attempt basis, it comes out to 278 yards and 1.9 touchdowns, not including any how good Philadelphia's defense is or the quality of the matchup, just looking at straight context neutral averages. So I feel like for 6,500 on DraftKings and for his price tag on FanDuel, Foles or Palmer? I feel like Foles has more blow-up potential than Palmer does.
I think he does.
We kind of talked about that when you went. Foles on DraftKings is just absurd, but on FanDuel, I don't know. I kind of like Romo, even though he's more expensive than Palmer. Maybe I'm just getting sucked in by that high total, but he seems like even more of a lock for 250 and 2 touchdowns to me.
Yeah, there's a ton of good quarterback plays this week. Like the matchups just worked well. I know that especially doing Living the Stream this week because there's 8 quarterback streaming options, but there's a lot of really interesting quarterback plays.
Mm-hmm. And I think someone asked about Teddy Bridgewater and playing him in cash games in the chat. I think for what JJ just said, that's the exact reason I don't think you can afford to go Bridgewater. 5 interceptions against 1 touchdown. He really hasn't been running that much. I know he's faced 2 tough defenses the past 2 weeks, so it's a little bit skewed, but I mean, you've got Rodgers who's going to go nuts. You've got Breeze who could go nuts. And then, these value plays we're already talking about, like Palmer and Foles. I really don't think you can afford to play Bridgewater. I mean, in a tournament, fine.
Right.
Stock up. Maybe you fade McKinnon at running back in a tournament and go Bridgewater. But I think that's way too risky in a cash game.
Yeah, the Bridgewater play, I talked about that a lot on the podcast. I think that it's not a safe play whatsoever. The upside you have with Bridgewater is the last time he faced a bad defense was when he had a decent fantasy game against Atlanta. But the Tampa Bay secondary is easily the worst in the NFL. The difference, the metrics we use at Number Fire, the difference between Tampa Bay and New Orleans, which is the 31st ranked defense, is the same as New Orleans to the Jets. I think it is at 21st. So Tampa Bay is really, really bad at defending the pass, but I would only. To me, I would do a Bridgewater, Jerry's Wright stack or something like that and roll with it and see what happens instead of, obviously, in cash games.
Obviously. Well, the problem is that Bridgewater could definitely, cannibalize on Patterson's production with rushing yards. And honestly, I think that I wouldn't use Teddy. McKinnon is going to have such a good game.
Dude, here's the thing.
Talking, sorry, go ahead.
Tampa Bay's, I know that Tampa Bay has given up, I think, the 5th most fantasy points to running backs this year, but, they're not that bad at stopping the run. That's the fear. They're really not a terrible team against the run. They're really, really bad against the pass, I think. But the one thing with McKinnon, I'm not disagreeing with you because I love McKinnon, but the one thing with McKinnon is that I think what he showed us last week is that it doesn't really matter. Because he played a really good rush defense.
Because he's so amazing. He's so amazing at running the ball.
Yeah, I think McKinnon on FanDuel is pretty much a lock for cash games.
Yeah.
I don't see it as a lock on DraftKings. I know other people do. I don't, just because that pricing is so loose. And I guess I was talking with Drew before the show, and I saw someone else on Twitter this take. I think Brandon Oliver is a better play on DraftKings than McKinnon.
Wow.
What's Oliver's price?
He's 5,400. McKinnon is 4,900.
Dude, I'd rather play McKinnon.
Yeah, I would definitely rather. Like, they could be down 21-0 after the first
I think one of my favorite values, though, on DraftKings at running back is Mark Ingram this week.
Oh. We should talk about that because he hasn't really come up for me yet.
Well, he hasn't come up for anybody yet. That's
right. I really
love tournaments. I mean, if you want a cheap guy who could get 2 touchdowns, it's Mark Ingram. But I wouldn't do it in a cash game.
But on DraftKings, you need those receptions.
Right, that's why I wouldn't do it.
Let JJ talk. He's trying to talk. Let him.
Right. So number one with the receptions, like Mark Ingram, I know that Mark Ingram historically hasn't been catching passes, but he has a little bit more this year. You have to recognize that. Number 2, Pierre Thomas isn't playing, so he's going to see an uptick in volume. I think that he's got a safe floor of about 10 to 15 rushing attempts, and if he catches 2 or 3 passes, which is very, very possible given the injury to Thomas and given the matchup. The matchup, too, Green Bay is one of the worst rush defenses in the entire league. So I think just at his price point, like if you're looking at some of the guys that are around there, like some people are considering someone like Ben Tate against Oakland, let's say. I'd take Ingram all day over that. I think Ingram has a lot of upside this week.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I wouldn't take him both Ben Tate.
I would.
I wouldn't.
At
his price, I would.
I know I'm probably on an island like this one, but I like Darren McFadden this week. I could potentially see him outscoring McKinnon. I think with McKinnon, it's hard to tell because they haven't been in the red zone at all the past 2 weeks versus good defenses. But we don't know, what's going to happen in the red zone. And even as a starter, as good as he is, he's getting 65%, market share of the carries. It's not insanely high. Whereas McFadden, you're getting 70+% of the carries. And if they do get in the red zone, they're going to him. Cleveland's 31st against the run, according to Football Outsiders. He's got, I think, 4 catches in 3 of the last 4 games. I think he's a guy people are probably too quickly bypassing this week.
I don't dislike that play at all, other than the fact that he's Darren McFadden.
I deserve that. I was waiting for it.
No, I mean, Darren McFadden is like, he's incredibly talented when he plays, although he's definitely lost a couple steps. But, I mean, the problem is like that offense can just always end up in the dumpster very quickly. Mm-hmm. Like it could just get so #Derek Carr so quickly. Whereas I think that the part of the reason I'm on McKinnon so much is I just don't see Mike Glennon being able to do enough to put the Vikings away at any point. I know Tampa Bay is favored in this game, but I just can't see the sum of the Buccaneers as a whole doing anything to change the game script away from McKinnon just chunking up yards.
Yeah, I mean, McKinnon will probably be my most highly owned player. He's definitely safer than McFadden. It's a weird thing where I feel like I'm not nearly as high on him as other people, but just because of the price, especially on FanDuel, you kind of have no choice.
I probably won't have a lineup without McKinnon on any site.
I will say,
Davis, that is a mistake.
No, it's not. You tell me every Sunday we'll do the show, and you're like,
"Oh, let JJ talk." Come on.
It is kind of scary. Like the McKinnon thing, like I said, like Tampa Bay grades out analytically like pretty well against the run. And I know that it's not translating to fantasy points against, but that's because their secondary again is so bad that teams do jump ahead and running backs are able to do work. And so you're not necessarily going to get that with Minnesota because their passing game isn't that effective.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah.
My turn. Okay.
Oh, I thought you just worked behind the scenes. I didn't know you had an opinion that was worth hearing. Sorry, go ahead.
Wow.
And that will do it for Leonum 4444 on today's show.
I gotta go eat some mac and cheese anyways.
Oh, really?
Mike Leone, it's very glorious.
Oh, yeah. That vegan diet lasted all of 36 minutes. All right.
Do you want to talk about Zach Stacy?
No,
Dave?
I want to talk about.
Let him talk about McKinnon.
I want to talk about strategy for a second. You saying that every lineup you have will have McKinnon in it is just like it's a little too much Davis for me. Like,
dude, I totally agree with you.
It's like last week you went all in on Cam Newton. Mike, easy. I just don't think like you have to do that when there are other options, especially like okay, if you want to like roll the dice on McKinnon on FanDuel, like okay,
it's
fine.
not rolling the dice,
but you can't. But like you have, for me, like you've got to hedge. It's so much risk for cash games,
right?
And like on DraftKings, there's so many other options. I just don't know why you why you have to go all in on one player when you're playing so much volume.
Yeah, can we also
because you're looking a gift horse.
Let me make my final McKinnon point. You're going all in on a guy with a 65% market share for a team that has a team total of 20, is an underdog against a good run defense, and we don't know if he's going to be used in the red zone.
Good is an overstatement. And you're right, we don't know if he's going to be used in the red zone, but I feel personally that he's a lock for the 100-yard bonus. I will be betting his prop when it comes out Sunday morning on Bovada. He is literally the most athletic player on the offensive side of the ball in the NFL. Okay. There is no one who is more athletic than him.
It's awesome. I think it's a good play. I just made my case for why I don't think it's an all-in play.
JJ, final word on this talk logic into Davis segment?
Well, I'm looking at some numbers right now. If you look at like players really aren't doing that great against Tampa Bay in fantasy this year.
Yeah, players weren't doing that well against Buffalo either, and he got 103 yards on 19 carries.
Yeah, and did he score a touchdown?
What did he do against Detroit?
He got 17 or 16 points on DraftKings.
Like why are I just think that you're talking in fact.
It's weird for me when you go on all this crazy. Receivers score touchdowns. We need tall receivers so they score touchdowns. Right. And then all of a sudden, I don't care if he's going to get used in the red zone.
Right.
It's just weird to me for you to go all in on a guy. It just seems so, and you always talk about how we underestimate high-ceiling players who will score touchdowns in cash games. And then all of a sudden, it seems like you're doing a 360 or 180, 180, not 360, just because you love Jerick McKinnon.
No, we don't share an evaluation. I do think he'll be used in the red zone. I was talking to one of my friends who's a Vikings fan, and he told me they did some read option stuff with Bridgewater and with McKinnon last week that I think there'll be a new wrinkle that they'll use. And I think that Zimmer and Norv Turner have seen all that they need to see out of Matt Asiata. So they said before the game last week that they wanted to get him more involved. More involved meant that his touches went from 3 to 7. The biggest obstacle for McKinnon's usage as a fantasy player has been his pass blocking. He graded out positive as a pass blocker last week for the first time this year, and Mike Zimmer made a note of saying that to the media. Not that I believe in the coach speak, but it shows me that the coaches are aware that McKinnon is making an improvement on it, which is what is important.
What's interesting, though, is that you're saying that this is the last thing I'll say about McKinnon. You say in one breath that we can't believe Mike Zimmer because he said that Asiata was going to get more touches, but now we believe Mike Zimmer because now Jerick McKinnon pass blocked well and he's going to do well.
He did get more touches.
All right, but
I also think that they saw.
There's at least a hint of hypocrisy.
I also think that there's some really, really good DraftKings values on high running backs. That
I've got a freaking team with Le'Veon Bell and Jamal Charles, Des Bryant, and Rob Gronkowski and Brandon Marshall.
Well, if it doesn't have Jerick McKinnon on it, it's wrong.
And not only I love Marshawn this week. Like Marshawn's going to blow up this week as well, and he's only 7,100 on DraftKings. A lot of those 6,500 to 7,500 running backs are really, really attractive this week. There,
two things are going to happen. McKinnon's going to go off.
Yeah,
and we're all going to hear about it.
No, sure. I'm not going to say anything because you guys already know that you're wrong.
McKinnon's not going to go off, and we have blackout part due.
No, I don't care. If people are legitimately thinking to themselves that Jerick McKinnon is not an above average to great play, then I don't know what number.
I think he still is.
It's a matter of not going all in with your monies on a guy when you don't have to.
Okay.
Right. I think he's an above average to great play.
I do too.
I'm going all in.
I will have him.
There's a lot of above average to great plays.
Yeah, like Justin Forsett.
I don't even know how to talk to you right now.
No, I'm serious.
We know you're serious, JJ.
Cincinnati has the worst rush defense in the NFL. Forsett had 23.
He's a running back over the age of 28, so JJ's stiff.
JJ, can you tell me, and this is an honest question, not a trolling question, why has he not caught a pass in 2 weeks?
I don't know. I think it's game script related a bit, but that is the frightening part with him. I think that's why his price has dropped. And the other thing too is obviously this is the same thing with McKinnon is that you don't know if he's going he's probably not going to get many goal line touches because Bernard Pierce comes in. And it's that same kind of player for me. I don't care if Jerick McKinnon is physically so much better than Justin Forsett. I know that. But I'm also looking at the matchup and the way the game could actually play out to make my decisions. And I think a guy like Forsett is kind of in that same group as a guy like McKinnon for me this week.
That just sounds ridiculous to me.
It's not.
It's not ridiculous. It's not ridiculous.
He has been the most effective running back on the ground in the entire NFL this year.
All right, can we move on?
Yeah,
I guess I kind of want to talk about Joik Bell and Ronnie Hillman also at the same price.
I like Joik a lot.
Thursday slate.
Joik is another great play.
Yeah, I'm playing Thursday just so I can use Joik.
Sorry, Joik.
Joik. Shouts out Evan Silva.
Let's move on to let's just move on past the Jerick McKinnon play.
Fine.
Because I think we're all a little bit too heated. This is something where like it pumps Davis up so much. Like he might say that doesn't pump him up, but he is going to be the biggest Jerick McKinnon fanboy on Sunday because of this.
Oh, you're damn right. You're damn right.
This segment.
Every carry, I'm gonna be rooting him on to. Every time he doesn't score on a carry, like when he has some room, I'm gonna be tilted.
I mean, like the thing that I hate about these conversations is it's the same as the way that when we did the Gronk one is that like I'm not even against the guy.
I know.
You take these massively extreme stances on these players.
I mean,
I force people into positions they aren't comfortable in.
He's my highest owned player, so
I feel like sometimes
let's go cheap wide receivers.
Yeah, because I actually don't feel super confident outside of two guys, cheap wide receivers. So I would like some of your input, Leone.
I'm all over Andre Holmes and Devontae Adams.
Yes, those are my guys.
Yeah,
I love those two guys. I find myself using them way too much, and I also think. You guys talked me to Floyd a little bit for like just to step up on FanDuel and Eric Decker. I like Decker a lot.
Yes, I love Decker.
He doesn't seem like a sexy pick. Great red zone play. The Bills' outside corners suck.
That is putting it kindly.
His price point's down. It just seems like all upside at 4,600 for me.
Yeah. I like DeAndre Hopkins too on DraftKings. I think he's a solid play. Tennessee can't stop wide receivers to save their lives, especially twos. I like both Andre Johnson and DeAndre Hopkins this week actually.
What do you guys think the risk level is on Devontae Adams? Because I find myself using him in cash games like it's one of my highest owned wide receivers. He's one of my highest owned wide receivers. My thought is that okay. Let me start over.
He played the same number of snaps as Randall Cobb last week.
Right. He gets kind of screwed up when their game script gets thrown off. They've won by 21 or more points in 3 of the last 4 games. In those games, Rodgers has only thrown the ball an average of 22 times. This is not a game where that's going to happen. Huge total. They're actually 1-point underdogs. So with the volume, I just don't see any way he does bad. And they're throwing to those 3 guys. I mean,
yeah, I'd feel a little bit more scared if it was in Green Bay, but the fact that it's in New Orleans, you have to feel pretty good about this.
Oddly enough, them being on the road makes me more likely to use Rodgers, makes me more likely to use Nelson because there's just that chance of them just just taking it to New Orleans is diminished.
Right. Exactly.
Am I going on narrative street too much with really thinking Drew Brees has a monster game?
Yes.
I don't know if I'm looking at his fantasy points per dropback are like way down this year. I don't know if we expect some regression there or not, but I just feel like this could be a game where he could throw.
Davis,
I have some thoughts on this.
Are you on Cooks this week, Davis?
Didn't you give me some stat about Brees with a total and at home? You ran the RotoViz game splits with like those.
Well,
three
it was
things.
It was a total over 60 though. This isn't 60. Or no, it was a total over 55 at home versus a bottom 15 pass defense.
Isn't that what he?
Well, he's faced that defensive that combination total over 50 at home, bottom 15 pass defense 8 times in his career, and has been over 30 fantasy points every time.
Right, and that's pretty close to what he has, isn't it? I mean,
So here's the thing about Brees. And people are going to kill me for this, and I don't even mean for this to be that hot of a take. He's a little bit older. His velocity's a little bit down. He's not as sharp. He threw 10 straight incompletions last week against Detroit. I know they have a really good defense, but 10 straight incompletions for Drew Brees, that's like... That would be like Colt McCoy not completing a pass at all versus Dallas, just like not completing a single pass. Like he's such a hyper accurate quarterback that to me really indicates a lack or a slight skill diminishing. And dude, Jimmy Graham matters to him.
Exactly, that's the point. He needs a healthy Jimmy Graham to do some work.
And he's not healthy. He didn't practice today.
So would you play Breeze in the cash game?
I'm probably changing that now.
Definitely not.
He hasn't ranked higher than 8th this year at quarterback. So I mean, like I know I throw out those ranks just because it's the season-long data that I work with, but like
it's definitely useful.
It's telling as to how poorly he's played.
I just feel like as fantasy players, something that a lot of people make the mistake of, like especially with football, is just like expecting positive regression out of players who've been good for a very long time, and like occasionally it's rewarded. Like people who played Andre Johnson against the Colts last week, like got rewarded with positive regression. But like just and people who played Roddy White this last weekend got rewarded.
And
with
Brady, that chapped me so much. Brady the last 3 weeks.
That's not chapping to me. That's Gronkowski. And I know I'm not getting into this with you, JJ. But so I think if Jimmy Graham is fully healthy and plays and is like going to play 80% of the snaps like he normally does, then Breeze becomes an option again. But with Graham either not playing or playing decoy, like you're just hoping that Marquise Colston comes down with some, pretty much, or that I don't know. Are they ever taking the shot caller off Brandon Cooks? Is that ever happening?
It's rough. Like I know that, like are you playing him this week at his price?
Yeah, because I know he only got like 2 catches last week, but he was on the field a ton, and like I'm more likely to throw out stuff that happened against Detroit because they're the best defense in football.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's true.
And like Cooks is just from and how I would run like a seasonal fantasy team, he's been terrible because he basically offers no touchdown potential. But on DraftKings, I feel like for 4,600 or 4,700, he's super safe.
The one thing that I feel about Brandon Cooks is often like the way that I try to objectively look at players is that like I think there's a perception with him because he had such a strong week 1 that he's better than he is, or that he's performing better than he is, because he's been really bad.
From like an expected point potential, I would rather shoot myself in the foot than watch a team I cheered for do what they're doing with Brandon Cooks right now.
Right. Like it's not easy to like. I get his price is dropping, but he's still not really easy.
But I also hate Julian Edelman as like a real football player and what he brings to the field. But his price this week, combined with the team total for the Patriots, makes him an excellent play.
I mean, Edelman's a little bit different though, because he's like I haven't looked at like ADOT or anything, but I think he gets down the field more than Cooks would. And not only that, but he gets a little bit more volume than he does. And he's more consistent. He's getting at least 4 catches per game, whereas like Cooks is not doing that. He's just not been that good.
What do you think about Cooks, Leone?
I don't think I will play him in a cash game. I just don't know what's going to happen there, and there's guys I'm more confident in. It's again, I kind of said at the beginning of the show, I seem to end up with expensive players and cheap players at all the positions. You know,
I think
FanDuel, I'm like DeMarco Murray, Jerick McKinnon. You know, wide receiver, I'm like Jordy, Andre Holmes, and Devontae Adams. I just keep ending up there. And if I'm going in that price range, I think I'm going Decker or Edelman on DK. And on FanDuel, you know, you've got Decker Floyd for not much more, or the cheap guys I just mentioned.
I was going to wait for you to see. I was going to wait to ask you guys, because I have Cooks in right now, but like I'm such an like. So obviously I'm aware that I'm like one of the most biased fantasy analysts of all time. Like, and when people ask me like start sit questions and stuff, I'm like, yeah, of course I'd play Eric Decker, but I also have been fighting a holy war on his behalf for a year and a half now. So like when I'm playing daily fantasy, it's hard for me to not just like click on those dudes and add them to my lineups every week. So I was gonna wait to see what you guys thought about Decker.
He's getting volume. I think that's key. It's not like he has a terrible matchup this week either, as Leone can attest to. But I think at his price point, the shrug at his price point, he's really solid.
You know who's in play this week?
I think Sammy's in play.
Yep.
Oh,
he totally is.
Sure, dude.
You know, they've thrown the ball averaging over 40 attempts per game with Orton. Both the running backs got hurt. That's how you attack the Jets anyways, is through the air. I mean, Watkins is getting 10-plus targets in this game.
Yeah,
dude,
he's getting
13 plus targets in this game.
Yeah, and I mean they use him in the red zone too. I know he's not the prototypical red zone guy, but
it's so tilting, dude.
But they've been successful with it. I mean, I think he's converted like half his red zone opportunities.
Man, I can't hate on him. He clearly is a talented player, and I think like he clearly tries really hard. Like something that a lot of rookies run into is they're not used to being the main weapon for their team, because a lot of really good college wide receivers played for really good college teams and had good quarterbacks and had good running backs. And Watkins is all his team has, and he's doing very well.
I mean, he's got to be on pace for one of the better rookie receiver seasons.
Yeah,
like 900 yards and 9 touchdowns.
The other Chris Raybon tweeted today that only 2 other wide receivers have run more pass routes than Watkins this year.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm not here throwing shade on Sammy Watkins. He's a
I
good
know. No, it's just crazy that he's doing what he's doing. Yeah. I think that we all not we all, but me personally, like I'm very against rookie wideouts in general. But I think that this year, I know it could be like a special class. But when you do see rookie wide receivers like a Benjamin or a Watkins stepping into a situation where there's clearly no other talent there, that you have to look into them a little bit more than you would otherwise.
Yeah. That said, I would not do an Orton Watkins stack, because when you're playing a quarterback wide receiver 1 stack, you're also expecting 1 or 2 touchdowns to go to the other guys, and like Orton's just not that guy.
Watkins is going to get 3, so yeah, do that stack. I'm going to do one of those stacks in the millie.
Dude, Orton's been really good.
Dude,
from a fantasy standpoint,
DGAF, man.
Yeah, he's a D-gap.
He's really high up there in that. I mean,
awesome.
Throwing jump balls to Chris Hogan. I mean, he does not give a shit.
Oh my god! Can we talk about Mettenberger?
Yeah, he's the ultimate D-gap. He's great.
I refuse to put Justin Hunter anywhere on our cheat sheets.
Dude, I probably ripped off maybe the best string of 140s of my entire life earlier when that picture of Mettenberger came out. Picture of Mettenberger is legendary. Absolutely legendary.
Mettenberger is the perfect living the stream quarterback. If he starts performing, I'm going to be so excited.
I wrote an article really early on for RotoViz about Mettenberger, and I happen to think he's very talented because he was pretty accurate in college and he really limited turnovers. But here's the thing. A lot of scouts had a bad grade on him for a couple of reasons. One, he's like a complete statue. Like he's not evading rushers. That's not happening. And 2, a lot of like visual like film evaluators were very high on Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham, and basically everything I looked at said that those guys were like middling NFL players, sort of best case scenario. And so if you think that Landry and Beckham are really good, like NFL wide receivers or like future like wide receiver 2s, then Mettenberger probably sucks. But if you think those guys are more like middling guys, then Mettenberger has really good college stats. So I think Justin Hunter is a good play this week.
I just can't do it. I mean,
not for cash.
No, I understand, but still,
last week was my boy. I asked Kitchen on G-Chat, I'm like, because I wanted to last week just do a common core of players across all my DK Millie teams, and then hope you hit the core. If you hit the core, one of the secondary ones pans out. And I included Hunter on that. And I asked Kitchen, I'm like, I think that's a bad idea. And he basically said yes. And I yelled at him for not telling me what I wanted to hear. And then I had 18 dead teams.
That offense is such a dumpster fire.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I talked about it a little bit on DKTV last weekend, but we just need to it's that point in the season where we got to let some people go.
Yeah, I agree.
Keenan Allen, dude. People are ridiculous about Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
He's not even like the highest targeted guy in Tennessee. Like the peripherals aren't even lining up like super good.
No, he's not even a thing.
He's like fourth option right now behind Sankey Wright and Delaney Walker. Like, I mean, he had like one target. What's that?
Remember when I bet on Tennessee to win the division?
Yeah, I told you that was silly. And that kind of goes with your Andrew Luck hate. Like, you do stuff like that.
Can we build a Millie team? I've seen that, Gindy gets to build a Millie team with Tuttle. Like, I think we should build one.
Let's do it. Someone call me when Andrew Luck's AYA rises above 8, though.
Dude, you just ask for the hate and then you can't take it.
No, like the whole Andrew Luck thing is ridiculous. So like people refuse to be objective about him. They've decided he's the next Peyton Manning, and that's all there is to it.
That was decided like in college.
Yeah, and people refuse to like adjust their analysis on him. He's very good, and Pep Hamilton is really, really letting Luck be the guy. So like even in the red zone, like they're just letting him do the things that are needed to make his stats better. But like on a per attempt basis, it's not a top 10 guy.
I mean, this year.
No, but he's still carrying that team.
He is.
Like,
I'm not. I have him. He's the 4th best quarterback in the NFL. I think.
Right. It's the problem is that people just use his first 2 years and they assume they basically just baked his potential into what he is, but he wasn't that yet, and that was the problem with Luck.
And he's also, still not that yet.
We just did a Monday Morning Quarterback article. Our chief analyst did, and he did basically the odds that a quarterback will break Peyton Manning's record in the NFL right now, and Luck had the highest odds, but it was only at like 18%.
Oh yeah, I saw some people on Twitter like when Manning broke the record, everyone's like, "Oh, it's only Manning's until Luck gets there."
Yeah, that's not true at all.
It's like Luck's birthright. Like he's just waiting to take over the throne, like a young king. He's King Arthur who pulled the football out of Manning's locker, basically.
Let's build our Millie team. Let's stop talking about Andrew
Speaking
Luck.
of, Reggie Wayne didn't practice again today. Davis, T.Y. Hilton?
Yep, totally good play. JJ's Steelers are terrible. Hilton has been much more consistent this year, sort of as to be expected. Guys in their third year. Like, the third-year wide receiver thing is a total myth, like, in terms of fantasy production, but I think in terms of consistency, it definitely matters. And, I mean,
he's seeing more consistent volume is a huge thing, too.
Yeah.
All right, here. I got my screen shared. David, if you want to make it bigger, and we will build this Millie team. What order do you guys want to go? Do you want to go JJ first, then Leone, then me back to back?
You had a rough week. Why don't you start it off?
You started off.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with Jerick McKinnon.
Oh, we should have seen that one coming.
Yeah,
is it me?
Yeah. Go ahead, JJ.
I'm gonna go with Jordan Reed.
Oh, tilt.
just the tilt.
All right, 2 picks. Two picks for Mr. Two Hats.
I get 2 picks? Oh my goodness. I'm gonna go Darren McFadden.
God.
Where are we at now?
We have McKinnon and Reed.
I got you.
And I'm gonna go Jordy Nelson.
That's all right.
Okay. Well, Darren McFadden was stupid. All right. So it's you, JJ.
I'm gonna go with Michael Floyd.
Michael Floyd. All right. I'm gonna go Rodgers. And who do I want? Dude, F it, Sammy Watkins.
Ooh, you could have still taken Gronk, dude.
Wow.
God, dude, it would be hard for me to overstate how bad Antonio Allen is at playing professional cornerback.
No, I like this. I like the squad.
McFadden pick, I'm not crazy about. Yep, it's you, JJ.
I'll go. Can you pull up the defenses? I think
the Dolphins are the
Dolphins, Jets, Chiefs. But don't do Jets.
I do Miami.
Dude,
the
Dolphins.
700 though.
The Jaguars have -60 expected points created.
Every defense that's faced Jacksonville has been top 10 this year.
Oh, we have some terrible flex options though. Oh no, we don't.
Jeremy Maclin.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, I'm playing that in the Millie Maker. If we win, we'll split it the 3 ways, and then we'll say sorry, David. Actually, nope. This is on my account, so David gets half of it.
That's right.
What? No, I'm putting it on my account too.
All right. Well, let's tie then.
We're gonna tie, win twice, and we'll just all split it 4 ways.
Yep. David gets half my share. Balls.
Oh man, Kitchen's got a monopoly on the build the Millie team game.
Kitchen has a monopoly on my Champions League teams.
Well, that makes up for it when you play Cam Newton in your cash lineups on DraftKings.
I played Cam Newton on every single FanDuel lineup across like a lot of entries, and it ended up
all about Russell last week, man.
Dude, true story. I cashed every lineup, including my main lineup. I let Davis talk me into Cam Newton. On FanDuel. On DraftKings, it's tough to make a mistake like that and get away with it when the pricing is so soft.
Right.
Like, there was no reason on DraftKings to not play Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning last week. There was just no reason to.
There were reasons.
I played Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Cam was like a 4th and 1 conversion away from having like a pretty standard 25-point game.
Yeah, but he was also a garbage touchdown away from being absolutely terrible.
Yeah, and he's almost always like, I don't want to get in this discussion with you because it's never nuanced, and you're just gonna get mad at me. And I should have split lineups, but it always
okay. That's all we have to say is that you should have split lineups. You let your love for Cam override common sense on DraftKings on Sunday.
I have a question. Davis and I were talking about this earlier. You can have, if you're playing Thursday lineups, you could have Peyton or Demaryius or Aaron Rodgers and Jordy for the same price. Which one are you going? That's why
I'm not playing Thursday.
Yeah,
I don't even want to have to make that decision. Dude, I was on the Rodgers Jordy train until Flowers, was ruled out with the concussion, and I think that kind of tilted the scales back towards Manning Demaryius, but it's maybe like 52% to 48%.
Yeah, I think Demaryius is more of the lock.
I didn't know if anyone had a strong opinion on it, just because.
Flowers out. I think
they're literally the exact same price.
I mean, Demaryius is the best offensive skill position player in football right now, like non-quarterback.
He is. I'll give props to Davis. It looked. Drops Thomas was a thing the first couple of weeks.
That was the worst opinion you and Ben have ever had.
No, it wasn't an opinion. Davis, you have to realize that, like, people.
That you guys are prisoners of the moment.
People look for scapegoats. We had to blame somebody. Like, you've got to blame somebody, or else, like, it doesn't feel good. So,
or you can just be rational.
That's part of the fun of DFS is doing that. If getting angry at players wasn't a thing, I don't even know what would happen.
Yeah, or getting angry.
Get mad at anyone but Demaryius, because like that's my like him and Dez are like my favorite players, and I take it personally when people are like, oh, terrible.
And again, that was another reason why we did it, because we knew that it was tilting you.
Because they're bullies, dude. That's what bullies.
Well, Ben.
Let's not even. No. We only have like 5 minutes left. Let's not get into Ben's NFL hot takes.
Yeah.
Because they're truly terrible.
I want to hear Ben
Okay,
NFL
I'll just say it real quick. So last week, Ben was like trying to make his NFL teams. Like he entered some GBPs on FanDuel, and he asked us Andre Holmes or Dwayne Bowe. Like Dwayne Bowe was an actual thing. And then when Andre Holmes had a bad game, he was like, "Oh, Patrick Peterson, shut him down," just like I knew he would, because Patrick Peterson is GOAT. And he's the 85th overall corner by Pro Football Focus.
Leone, did you have anything you wanted to say?
I put Dwayne Bowe on the cheat sheets this week. In tourney plays. Unhighlighted. Dude, I don't know. I keep getting sucked into Alex Smith as like a thing, but
no, he's gonna have a good week this week, Alex Smith. But Dwayne Bowe is not.
Dwayne Bowe's best game the last 2 years.
Well, I feel like if you wanted, because I had Ryan Smith, I felt like if you wanted to stack him, I mean, obviously Kelsey would be my top choice, but
Alex Smith is the one quarterback in the league that is unstackable, I think.
the one quarterback to rule them all, JJ.
Yeah,
I mean, probably not my best decision either.
It's pretty funny though.
The Dwayne Bowe thing was like, because like he put it in like our Skype chat, and Dan, Mr. Tuttle, and I were just like, this is not a real thing. Like we're not having this conversation right
Do you have to call Tuttle Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a formal
It's
title.
a rule.
If I don't, he'll correct my grammar.
Who?
Oh, this is one more thing we need to talk about before we go. Seattle wide receivers. When I did my write-up today, I was looking at the Pro Football Focus, like the matchup thing that Mike Clay does every week. Their secondary is so bad that their legitimate starting right cornerback from last week just got cut midweek.
Yeah, no, like, Carolina's that. No, that's why I'm really well. Their rush defense is just as bad. Carolina might be one of the worst, if not the worst defense in the league.
How does that happen? What happened there?
It's insane. I mean, I think part of it's regression, but not. You don't go from like number 3 to 31 in a year. It's crazy. But like that's why I'm super high on Marshawn this week. They've given up 8 like top 10 performances to running back or top 20 performances to running backs this year, which is just insane. And like I don't know. The thing is with Seattle is you don't know who that wide receiver is going to be.
Yeah, I was surprised, Davis, that you wrote up Baldwin.
I think we do know.
I don't think.
I think they told us.
I don't think there's any reason to play a Seattle receiver.
All right, guess.
Okay, no, that was strong because it's a good matchup, but I'm just not. I don't know. That's kind of the way I play DFS. I'm not going to fool around when I don't think I have a good idea of who's going to get the targets, and I'm not completely sold on Baldwin. I also think
Baldwin has 25% of the non-Percy Arvin targets for that team. That's a really good number.
Yeah.
And like it's not like we're making speculation. Like Percy Arvin's just gone. He's not there anymore.
Yeah, I mean Baldwin's really good. Like he's not a bad receiver. I'm kind of with Leone here, where like historic, like with Russell Wilson there, they've just and the other thing too is I think that they can run all over Carolina. That they're not going to need to do a lot through the air against them this week.
Yeah, you're all over Baldwin's 25%, but you shit on Jordan Reed's 25%.
I'm not all over Doug Baldwin. I'm presenting him as an option.
He was an automatic play.
Was he an automatic play?
Yeah.
Dude,
he's also listed with Jordy Nelson, Michael Floyd, and Eric Decker. I was
just surprised you made him an automatic play. Maybe it turned out to work. He just does not seem like a Davis play. I was just surprised.
I think last week's short wide receiver performance
is getting to me. It's getting to me, dude. It's messing with my psyche.
I was stunned when I saw Baldwin as the first receiver after Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, because
that's not that it's bad. I mean, I do see where you're coming from. I just personally would rather look elsewhere.
Three of the best 16 wide receiver games came against Carolina this year. So like, there's something to it. I mean, it's not.
Like, I don't know. I just feel like Seattle is also in a position where they're like, all right, guys, like, enough of this shit. Let's go out and hang dong. Like, I just feel like they might not take their foot off the gas. I don't know. Like, I just think that a lot of the objective stuff says that Doug Baldwin is a pretty good play. Like, Russell Wilson is still, like one of the best quarterbacks in football. We don't need to get into, like, the how good he is thing, but he's incredible, dude. Like, he can make every throw. He makes really good decisions. He opens stuff up with his legs, and Carolina can't stop anybody through the air or the ground.
Right. I mean, like I said before, like, Marshawn Lynch could easily have 2 or 3 touchdowns this week. Like, I think Marshawn Lynch is one of the best running back plays this week, period. And
yeah.
That's what scares me.
I don't know.
Are you as confident?
Our strategy article stuff where we look at, like, you know, the volume on a week-to-week basis. Lynch kind of scares me. He doesn't catch a ton of passes.
I agree.
He has like one of the highest standard deviation of, you know, carries from week to week. He's only averaging around 16 carries a week, which doesn't make him a workhorse. So if he doesn't score a touchdown, granted he's one of the highest probability guys to score a touchdown. I don't know. I think he's a tourney play.
Oh, burn! You just got JJ so good, Mike. Nice.
I think the matchup is what's dictating this for me. Like, I don't disagree with you, but at the same, like, I think there's little.
Maybe I'm just bitter.
What you're forgetting, JJ, is that this is the Christine Michael breakout game.
Yeah, exactly.
It's happening, dude.
JJ, on a scale of 1 to Tim Wright, how do you rank your confidence in Marshawn Lynch?
Oh man, probably beyond Tim Wright.
Oh wow.
No, I love Marshawn.
Charles, Le'Veon Bell, and Marshawn. Who are you cutting out of those 3 on DraftKings?
That's
dude.
Easy.
So I know that you guys are gonna say Marshawn.
Like, he doesn't catch passes, dude. He doesn't catch passes.
I understand. But at the same time, like, St. Louis has played well against running backs.
All right, so who are you cutting out of those 3 on DraftKings?
Just say it. Let's just move on. Just say it.
This is where we get JJ in the corner. We are backing JJ in the corner.
I'll say Jamal Charles.
Oh
my
God!
God!
Out of here!
Just
kick him off the call, Kitchen.
Kick
him out. Kick him off the call.
Just to have some drama. I'll say I will go with Marshawn and Le'Veon rather than Le'Veon and Jamal Charles. Just talk to me at the end of the week.
I will.
I will say, hands down, this is the funnest show that anybody has. Nothing against Drew whenever he's on, but Mike is like his trolling ability is like expert level now.
When Leone and I get together, like the troll is real, and then JJ and I's entire relationship the last 2 seasons has just been trolling each other.
Yeah, that's all we do.
Like we'll pop up on GChat, and it'll just be something like nagging on each other. That's all it is.
It's all in fun. Like the realistic, like the thing with all of this is that like we agree on 90% of the things. It's just the 10% that we love to just go back and forth.
Jerick McKinnon outscores Marshawn Lynch.
Not happening.
Let's put it on the board.
All right, I want to put on the board Brandon Oliver versus McKinnon.
Okay, I'll take all comers right now. These are ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Oh, when Davis,
the guy who gets 40% red zone looks on the 5th best offense, and 90% of the carries is going to get crushed by the guy in frickin' Minnesota.
I feel like you've never watched Jerick McKinnon play, Leone. I feel like you should watch.
I was watching him live last week.
That is true. So Point good. Leone.
But you haven't watched the All-22 yet. And the All-22 has never, ever lied in the history of
Leone. In Davis's defense, Adrian Peterson did talk about how good Jerick McKinnon's athletic ability was, and Davis has a friend that is a Vikings fan.
Well, my friend is... You guys
we're ending the show on that. Shut up, Davis. It's over.
Is it the Eskimo brother?
Davis's friend is a Vikings fan. He was at practice and watched all the read option.
He gets the local...
wrote about it.
It is going to be so amazing for me when Jerick McKinnon has a big game. Like, the fact that you guys have somehow painted yourself
I'll win so much money if he does. That's fine.
I know. But on Twitter, you have painted yourself into an anti-Jerick McKinnon corner, and I am going to... It's going to be a glorious victory for me after getting punched in the face. No, punched in the nuts by Odell Beckham last week.
You guys don't even
Sammy
know.
Watkins, Wes Welker, Manny Sanders, Randall Cobb, Kendall Wright as well.
And almost Antonio Brown. It should have been a touchdown.
I'm happy for Sammy Watkins, dude. Good for him. He's got a pretty cool story, and he suffered with injuries a lot in college too.
Is this Davis Maddox talking right now?
Dude, Davis, you should hear the debates in Buffalo because no one can separate the fact that like he could be good and the trade could still be bad. Like no one can every fan in Buffalo, like those two things are mutually exclusive. Like he either sucks and the trade was terrible, or he's amazing and the greatest trade of all time.
Well, okay, I have a question for you guys. What is more hilarious? Tavon Austin at the number 8 overall pick, or Paul Richardson with pick 45 expected to be a contributor as a rookie? What's more hilarious?
Aaron Maben.
Yeah, Aaron Maben's pretty bad.
I think Tavon Austin might go down as the most hilarious pick in NFL history. More hilarious than Jamarcus.
You would love
Russell.
that, too.
No, I mean, it's already the worst pick of, like, the
last...
What
about, what's his name, Rashawn Woods?
What about Jake Locker?
Oh, David's so sad.
No, I'm not. I actually like Mettenberger, and I'm glad that they're playing him. It's not like I'm going to put a ton of stock. I don't know why people are putting a ton of stock into Justin Hunter this week, but I do think that if anybody's the future, it's not Locker, number 1. And I'd rather just see what Mettenberger's made of. And if he sucks, then we tank, and we suck for the duck.
I think Mettenberger's good.
Davis did call it because I wasn't high, but I liked Locker as like a late round dart throw because he can run in fantasy, and Davis was on the Mettenberger train.
I said in April when he got drafted he was going to start for them.
Dude, Davis, when do we see Johnny?
Week 12.
Week 1. Wait.
Here's the thing.
You know Mettenberger?
Hoyer's been terrible 2 weeks in a row.
No. Hoyer's been terrible all year. He's just won some games.
But they lost, like, as a big favorite last week. If he starts slow, you don't think they might pull the plug at, like, halftime?
Because Pettin has sex with his wife with clothes on.
Oh.
No, this is so ridiculous because
you watched the Pettin defense, like, he's pretty aggressive.
Brian Hoyer was not even bad until last week.
But isn't he 34th out of 35th players are eligible quarterbacks as far as pass efficiency? I think I saw that stat today. Also, I saw that Zach Mettenberger is the 5th rookie to start an NFL or 5th rookie quarterback to start an NFL game. None of those being Johnny Manziel.
You have no idea. You have no idea how tilting this is.
Makes me so happy. Makes me so happy.
Like
I'm gonna have Bruce do the.
No, I'm happy too because
you're wondering, he's doing the money Manziel.
The
Davis
first
talked
Johnny
me
Manziel to Josh Gordon touchdown. I will be naked. I will be.
Davis talked me into Manziel from a high stakes money league in my fantasy league. So.
Oh, I drafted
Dude,
him in
the league
leagues.
that I'm in the league that I'm in with JJ, like the crazy deep league. I've had him on my bench all year, and I'm just really lucky the Cowboys haven't had their bye yet because he was my only plan for backup quarterback behind Romo. I spent like $11 on Manziel.
You bought Manziel in that draft for more than I bought Jay Cutler for.
Yep.
I can't. I mean, I love the story of what you did to Drew's MFL 10 teams.
All right, guys.
That frustrates me so much because like MFL 10s are my thing. Like that, and Davis would feed Drew this information, and then Drew would be like, "Well, Davis told me this. Don't listen to Davis."
No.
Listen to Davis.
How much Kelsey do you have?
Davis put a spell on Drew and I for like a week. We thought like he knew more about football than every other person.
Davis, Kelsey's like top 10 ownership percentage for me.
All right. Well, we have to cut this short because we're getting into Whelp 10s, as Drew likes to call them.
No, Whelp FLs.
So we'll cut it short.
This is you guys gave Drew more reason to yell at me. Like he was already tilted at me from yesterday, so I don't know why we're doing this.
Thanks to JJ Zacharyson. Oh, almost said Zachariason. No,
I would have said that.
Zacharyson, aka Money JJ. That's right. Do the money sign. From number 5.
It's not actually a money sign. It's rolling a blunt, just so everybody knows.
At late round QB. Also to Leo Nim, the guy with the whiteboard. And for those that might just be listening, oh, nice, JJ.
Are we putting the feed on the podcast now?
Yeah, we're going to put this on the podcast. So for those that might be listening, just know that Mike has had a giant pussycat on the back of his chair for the whole show. And then for Davis Maddock, a.k.a. at Davis Maddock, the guy whose buddy gets the local Star Tribune there in Minnesota.
I mean, you guys literally know who I'm talking about, so I don't know why you guys are being this way.
We will see you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. Mr. Tuttle will not be there because he's on vacay. So it's going to be all the Joe Week and all the Davis Maddox. So until tomorrow, 5 p.m., we'll see
Evan
you.
will agree with me about Jarek.
What's that?
Evan's going to agree with me about Jarek.
We don't even disagree.
Well, he's going to call him Jarik. So, yeah, probably. So we'll see you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. Later.